Hello everybody, Jamie here from FM Scout. In today's video we are bringing you 30 injury prone players to avoid or sell on Football Manager 2020. Now injury prone players, I'm not saying these players aren't good. When these players are fit, some of these players are very good, but if you do enjoy this type of video, please drop a like on the video and also hit that subscribe button. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, player number 1, Gareth Bale. Now there's no denying Gareth Bale is one of the best right wingers in the game when he is fit. Valued at 75 million, but he's on a lot of money, so it's going to be tricky to get rid of him based on that wage. But if you go into his reports, you can see he has real problems with injuries. So Gareth Bale is player number 1. If you can get rid of him, if you can keep him fit, brilliant. But I wouldn't rely on this guy to be your first choice winger or left winger or right winger. Thiago is the next player at Bayern Munich. Now the Spaniard, 28 years old, still got some profit to sell. Again, he is one of the best midfielders on the game, 28 still, of course. But the centre mid, the DLP, the advanced playmaker, he has got a real problem with injuries. And if you have a little look right here, you can see it might have problems with injuries. If you look at his injuries bar as well, I mean, to be fair, he's not had that many. So if you can keep him fit, but bear in mind that he will get injury, it's very risky to have this guy as your first choice centre midfielder. Erik Bayi, the 25-year-old Ivorian at Manchester United. Now, you know this guy's had a lot of injuries in the past. And again, try not to rely on this guy too much. He is valued at 27 million. You've definitely got potential to sell him at 25. You know, so yeah, that is Erik Bayi. Eric Lamela at Tottenham, 27-year-old, the Argentinian, 25 million values on £80,000 a week. Again, a very good player, but he does have problems with injuries. If we go into his overview, you can see right here, he's also got quite a few cons as well, so bear that in mind. I would personally try and cash in on this guy. Fabian Delph is the next one. Ironically, currently injured for 4 weeks to 2 months. He's a very good box-to-box midfielder, as you can see. He's valued at 24 million. If we go into his reports, you can see right here, he has a problem with injuries. So if we go to the injuries tab as well, he's had quite a few in the last... I mean, to be fair, based on his he's had a lot of major injuries. That's the problem with Fabian Delph. So never try and rely on this guy too much as your box-to-box midfielder. Sami Khedira now is 32 years old, so he will be a little bit more tricky to get rid of, but he's on £185,000 a week. His contract does expire in 2 years when he turns 34, but again, you need to bear that in mind as a central midfielder. If we go to his overview, you can see this guy also might have a problem with injuries as well. Phil Jones, of course, Phil Jones, 27 years old, 18 million value. Again, not the most reliable player in the Man United squad. Definitely need to get away from that. He will have problem with injuries. If we go to his injury tab, you can see he's had a lot of major injuries throughout his career. And yeah, Phil Jones is the next player. Sergio Asenjo at Villarreal, the Spanish 30-year-old goalkeeper. Valued at 18 million though, but a goalkeeper, you know, he's got less chance of getting injured as a goalkeeper. But if we look at his injuries, he's had 4 cruciate ligament injuries based from 2010, 11, 15 and 17. Almost every 2-3 years is getting a major injury. And look at the time out for them injuries as well. So definitely bear that in mind. It looks like this guy doesn't get small injuries. He just gets cruciate ligament injuries. So definitely bear that in mind if you are looking at a goalkeeper. Moussa Dembele, the ex-Tottenham and Fulham centre midfielder, the deep line playmaker. Again, very good stats or attributes. I mean, looking at this is awesome, to be fair. He's 31. If we go on overview, he will have problems with injuries. Let's look at his injury. You know, he's had some slight injuries and stuff like that, but he's also had about 4 or 5 major injuries as well. So yeah, but Moussa Dembele, bear that in mind if you do try and sign him or if you are managing this club in China. Jack Wilshere, of course, Jack Wilshere's in this list as well. He is currently playing for West Ham. He got sold by Arsenal. I don't know if it was down to injuries or anything like that. He is on the transfer list for West Ham, so if you do see him on the transfer list and you're thinking of buying him, bear in mind he is the dark red as well, so he could have a real problem with injuries. So if we go to his injuries tab, you can see he has had so many major injuries over his career since 2011. Broken ankles, broken toes, torn ankle ligaments, broken lower leg. So yeah, bear that in mind if you do think about signing Jack Wilshere. Mangala, the guy who obviously left Man City to go to Valencia. This player, if you are starting as Valencia, he has only just joined, so it will be quite tricky to get. But he is valued at 13 million. If we look at his overview, you can see he might have a problem with injuries, but based on his injury stats, he's only had 2, but 2 major injuries in 16 and 18. That's really what FM knows. Apart from that, it could be more, but I think the main one being the cruciate ligaments for 8 months in 2018. Cherisev at the Russian at Valencia, 11.75 million. Not the best player in the world, so just bear that in mind if you are playing as Valencia. I mean, he's okay for that type of team, but again, if we look at his overview, this guy could have a real problem with injuries. You can see right here the dark red as well. So if we go to injuries, he's had 2 major injuries since 2000. I mean, only 2013. I'm not quite sure why this guy's so injury prone. I'm not sure if FM doesn't calculate all the injuries that he gets. But yeah, the last one was only 3 months and 5 weeks. So it's quite interesting that maybe he's had injuries in the past that's just not on the game. But yeah, that is Denis Cherysov. Ezekiel Garay, the previous wonder kid on Football Manager, actually. Can you remember when this guy was a wonder kid? Maybe 10 years ago when he was 22. He was absolutely quality. And of course, this guy came from Knowles. I always remember this guy on Football Manager, and I always remember him being injury prone. But he might have problem with injuries. He's consistent though. But if we go to his injuries, he's had 3. He's had bruised ribs, twisted ankles twice. They're only minor and moderate again, so... But yeah, FM does class this guy as having major problem with injuries. Ignacio Camacho, the guy at VfL Wolfsburg, 8.75 million, the central midfielder, ball-winning midfielder, whatever you want to call him. This guy, of course, if we go to his overview, he might have problems with injuries, and let's look at his injury profile. So yeah, he's had a lot of thigh strains, groin strains, sports hernias, mainly them really, to be fair, but a lot of them being major ones of 3 months and stuff like that. So yeah, bear in mind if you are trying to sign Ignacio Camacho. The French, Defrel, advanced forward, actually the first forward we've seen on this video. So you can see he is currently on loan from Roma, but he's joining permanently. So if you are if you are managing Sassuolo and you have got this guy coming in, bear in mind he is quite injury prone. You can see he might have problems with injuries. Looking at his injury tab as well, I mean he doesn't have any noted, but clearly something's gone on which has made this guy injury prone. Daniel Caruso, the Portuguese midfield centre back, sorry. You can see he is valued at 8 million at Sevilla. This guy, I mean, he's a very good player. You know, he's got 15 tackling, 15 heading, very, very good central defender. But again, of course, what this video is about is injury prone, and this one could have a real problem with injuries. You can see right there. He's got the dark red as well, which is scary. I very rarely sign a player if they've got that kind of injury proneness on their cons. So he's had 2 major injuries, being a calf strain and a gashed upper leg. That 3 months for that as well. So that is Daniel Caruso. Nacer Chadli at Anderlecht on loan from Monaco. So if you are at Monaco and you are thinking of getting rid of this guy, I probably would suggest doing that. And definitely don't have this guy as your first choice left winger or AMC or right winger. Again, if we look at his reports, you can see right here he might have problems with injuries. He's inconsistent as well. So always look at the cons when you're looking at signing players. And if we go to his career stats, his injuries, you know, he's had a lot of injuries a lot of major injuries. I think there's counting 6 there. So yeah, six major and 3 moderates, and that's a long time to be out, you know. So yeah, think about that if you are thinking of signing or selling Chadli. Daniel Ginzek at Wolfsburg as well. It seems like this is the second player coming from Wolfsburg that's very injury prone. Striker up front. Of course, ignore the scout summary. I just got the scout reports in so I can see the reports. But this guy has also got the really red injury proneness. If we go to his injuries here, he's had 3 major injuries, 11 days. He's currently injured right now. A torn back muscle, but he's had a 7-month and a 6-month injury with cruciate ligaments, the worst one you can get, by the way. Daniel Didavi, the AMC from Stuttgart. Now, it seems like a lot of Germans are quite injury prone on this game, which is quite interesting, but this guy's at AMC, attacking midfielder. I mean, amazing attributes, really, really good attributes, and a player you could definitely get some money for. So if we look at his overview, he might have problems with injuries, but we go to his injuries tab. You know, he's had knee tendonitis, he's had damaged knee cartilage, damaged kneecap, torn ankle ligaments, 4 major injuries since 2010. So obviously that's why he's injury prone. Vincent Kompany, of course, Vincent Kompany, 33 years old at Anderlecht. It'd be very, very difficult to sell. I believe he does retire pretty soon anyway. But again, very good attributes. If you can sell him, I don't think you'd be able to sell him being at Anderlecht. Maybe you guys could try and see if you can sell him, but I very much doubt you wouldn't be able to. I mean, he's only just joined as well, so just bear that in mind if you do think of bringing this guy in for a season or something if he doesn't retire. But you can see he's also got the red injury proneness as well. Go to his injuries, and he's had a list of injuries all the way down. Obviously, he spent most of his career a lot of his career in England, so this is probably why it's tracked so much, I guess. But lots and lots of major injuries for Vincent Kompany. Chelani, the next player. Now, again, there's no denying that he's one of the best centre-backs in the world. I mean, at 5.75 million value, this guy could still play for a few more years. He is 34. He is a legend at Juventus. So, again, this is not just about selling. This is about kind of avoiding. He is out for 8 to 9 months currently with cruciate ligaments. So, you won't be able to do much with him anyway. But obviously, I mean, I'm assuming this guy's going to retire. So, maybe just bear in mind about not renewing his contracts. and letting him go. As hard as it can be for legends like that from clubs, but you can see he's had a few major injuries right now, and if we go into his reports, he could have real problems with injuries. Obviously, as players get older, they tend to get more injuries as well, so yeah, that is Chiellini. Sebastian Rode, another German, the ball-winning midfielder. Now, of course, this guy is 28 years old. You've got potential to sell this guy. You know, you could get a bit of money for this guy, 5.75 million, 33k a week if you are managing Frankfurt at the moment. But if we look at this, he might have real problems with injuries. And if we go to his injury tab, he's only had one, which is a thigh strain for 7 months. A very long injury for a thigh strain, I guess. But yeah, that is Sebastian Rode. Walter at Corinthians, the 31-year-old. If you are managing in Brazil and you like your South American saves, bear in mind that Walter is currently injury prone. Well, he is injury prone. He might have problems with injuries, and if we go to his injuries tab, he had a fractured toe, which was a major injury for 5 weeks, and that was during a match. But yeah, Walter is injury prone as well. Dede is the next player. Now, the ball-playing defender currently playing in Brazil. I think that's Cruzeiro, maybe. I'm not sure. I haven't got the name fixed on right now. But yeah, tackling of 16, very good attributes. Very good player, 31. But you can see he might have problems with injuries, and he's got a lot of cons as well. If we go to his injury tab, you can see a few major injuries right here, mainly during games, but he's got a lot of cruciate ligament injuries, which is bad. Benedikt Hauds, the German 31-year-old. Again, there's a lot of Germans in this list. Central defender, again, great stats for another season. He is at Lokomotiv Moscow. If you're thinking of signing this guy, bear in mind he does have problems with injuries, but he's got a lot of good cons as well, so it's kind of your choice. But in terms of his injuries, he's had 3 major injuries over the last 5 years, I guess. Yeah, that's Benedikt Hauds. Falcao, of course, the Colombian 33-year-old. He's a good player at Galatasaray. You probably won't be able to get better than this guy if you are Galatasaray. And he's a model citizen as well, so very good for your mentoring and stuff like that. But as a first choice, be very mindful. Again, he will have problems with injuries. And in terms of his injuries he's had quite a lot over the last few years. Mattias Suarez, 31-year-old Argentinian at River. 14 finishing. Good stats, good attributes, right? But again, if we look, he's got problems with injuries. He's got lack of determination as well. If we go to his injuries tab, he's had about 7 or 8 major injuries, mainly coming from kind of cruciate ligaments, knee ligaments. Yeah, bear that in mind if you are thinking about Mattias Suarez. Jonathan Maidana, the central defender, currently playing at Toluca. Again, he's only valued at 675k. It does expire next season, so not a player that I would particularly extend at 34 years old as well. His injuries are only going to get worse. If we look on his report, he's got problems with injuries. And if we go to look at his injuries, he's had a damaged cruciate ligaments, which was major in 2012. That is Jonathan Maidana. Ignacio Camacho, the striker, the 34-year-old, again, his contract is expiring in 2020. But he looks very, he's a good player. Obviously we all know who this guy is. He was at Sunderland, if you don't recognise him from the English side of things. But if we look at his report, you can see he might have problems with injuries, and on his injuries tab, he hasn't got anything, but that's probably because he's not tracked so much. But you can see, I'd try and avoid giving this guy a new contract. And I've left kind of the best till last, really. Fabio Contrao, of course, is a free transfer, very talked about as being a free transfer, and he is a good left back. We all know this, but you have to think that, of course, he is injury prone. So try not to bring this guy in as your main left back. Of course, he's a good player, bring him in. But, he has had a lot of injuries. He is injury prone. But that's been the end of the video. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Please, again, just drop a subscribe on the button. We've just recently hit 65,000 subscribers, which is amazing. If you are watching and you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Drop a like on the video, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.